Welcome to The Secrets of Success. By following the proven techniques of the guests who appear on this series, you'll learn that even successful people run into detours and failures, and how you can apply their success techniques to change your life.
You're now listening to the most unique show on radio, the show dedicated to making you a success. The best marketing may soon be invisible. We'll find out how from our guest, William Ammerman. William, thanks for being with us today.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Now, your book is entitled The Invisible Brand. Tell us what you mean by invisible.
We are being influenced by a lot of various corporate interests, politicians, institutions, and even governments through our technology. And in doing that, these influences that are changing us operate using artificial intelligence. And for many people, they are unaware of how that works, and therefore they're unaware of how this influence is happening to them. And I wanted to help people see the invisible, see something that's hidden from them, pull back the curtains, and help them understand how technology, specifically artificial intelligence, is already at work changing them.
Now, just to combine it, the invisible is always one of those magical words because we grew up with the Invisible Man, and any story that seemed to have invisible in always would attract us. But how does that combine with the brand? Can you define that for us?
Yeah, I originally was playing around with Adam Smith's The Invisible Hand. Of course, his famous treatise from 1776, The Wealth of Nations, posited that there is an invisible hand operating in the economy as a result of the free market. And I wanted to play on that because I really believe that what we have at work today with artificial intelligence is a new type of influence that we've never seen before in the economy, a force that is changing us using psychotechnology, technology that is operating on us psychologically. And that's a word I coined in the book as a convergence of four major trends that are enabled by artificial intelligence.
This is getting more and more scary. We got the Invisible Man. We have artificial intelligence. This sounds like Zachary on the horror theater years ago when I was growing up. Now, are the consumers, the people, you and me, not you obviously because you know this stuff, but are we aware of these tools and tactics that might be influencing our buying decisions?
Well, the first one that people are often most familiar with is personalization. I grew up in an age where everyone got broadcast television and broadcast radio and the same newspaper delivered to our front doorsteps. And today we've entered an age where by way of the internet, we can all receive different information. In fact, we can choose, and I often jokingly say, we choose the lies we like. And what I mean by that is that if you and I were sitting next to each other in the airport and we were both looking at, the NewYorkTimes.com website, you might see ads that were appealing to you because of what you've previously searched, what you've expressed an interest in. I would see a different set of ads. That's a simple example, but it gets more complicated. You see different news and information on your Facebook feed than I see. We are increasingly surrounding ourselves in echo chambers of information that are reflecting back to us what we've already expressed an interest in. So if I'm interested in a subject, I tend to get more of that subject feeding back to me because the assumption is I will read it and consume it more often than information that I don't like. And so what we end up with in this age of personalization is we've moved from mass broadcasting, mass media, to an age of mass customization, where information is tailored to the individual. You're receiving a different look at the world than I am, and it's tailored to your likes and interests to please you.
When I was preparing for the show, I was thinking to myself, is this good or bad? Because I play golf. So when I get a golf ad, it can be interesting, and at least it is targeted kind of to the right area. On the other hand, I wouldn't be much interested in diapers or baby powder or, a new type of face cream. So in a way, it I guess deletes or keeps out a lot of the things that I would have no interest in. But it's also a little scary that they know I'm interested in golf and maybe what else? Puppies and baseball and, whatever other hobbies I may have. So is this defined as good or bad, or is it just up to the consumer?
Well, it opens up the second trend, which is persuasion has become scientific. It used to be, in the old days when I was cutting my teeth in advertising, we held focus groups. You get 6 people in a room, you pitch them an ad campaign, and you get their impression. What do you like? It's the equivalent of holding your finger in the wind to see which way the wind was blowing. Today, we can test messaging on a massive scale. We can deliver these customized, personalized messages to the individual at millions and even billions of messages, and we can test which ones are working and which ones aren't. We can look and say, this particular message works for people who have these signals in their data that, are in this demographic or in this neighborhood or drive this kind of car. These messages work better for, this other kind of person. And so science is enabling persuasion because we're able to deliver information at a personalized level. So when you ask the question, is it good or bad, I'm going to pass on passing judgment other than to say, for marketers, it's very powerful. And I think that for consumers, it can be both good and bad. But there is, there's a lot of change happening, and consumers need to be aware of how it works.
We want our audience to know that you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan. Today our guest is William Ammerman. He's the author of The Invisible Brand, Marketing in the Age of Automation, Big Data, and Machine Learning. William, can you tell us where we can get the book, and is there a website where we can find out more information?
Simply say, Alexa, buy The Invisible Brand by William Ammerman, and it'll arrive at your doorstep tomorrow morning.
I think that's one of those tricky marketing techniques that you're talking about. I think we've just been taken over here, but we'll leave it up to you because you're the expert. So something I read in your book.
I appreciate that.
No, it's been great. And I think for our audience, it's important we know about this because they're going to hear some of the anecdotes that you brought out in the book, and I think they'll be shocked. But you mentioned that the power is shifting from buyers to sellers. I thought it was the other way around. I thought it was shifting to the buyers because they could make comments on, the internet, things like that. But you say it's really in the seller's favor with this invisible marketing. Is that correct?
That's absolutely what's happening. So we've gone through a period where we as consumers were suddenly given a huge range of options. We were suddenly exposed to a plethora of information about different offers, different airline fares, different, prices for hotel rooms. And we got very good at using our power. So power shifted to the consumer as a result of the internet. Power is now shifting back to the marketer as a result of artificial intelligence. Think about the power of recommendation engines. Today, when you're in your car, you're talking to your car and you're saying things like, what's the nearest Thai restaurant? Well, the recommendation on the other end has a huge amount of persuasive capability to deliver you to the doorstep of a neighborhood restaurant. That's a simple example, but we are starting to engage this technology on our television sets. You're sitting in front of the TV at night and you say, recommend a scary movie. And the recommendation engine on the other end is able to persuade you very accurately. We see this at Amazon. People who liked this also bought this is a very powerful strategy for delivering you to products and services. So where it used to be that, we were in a manufacturing economy and mass distribution was the name of the game, then we went through this period where consumer choice became a very powerful, tactic in the world of markets. We're now entering a new phase where the marketer, through the power of artificial intelligence, is able to drive more traffic to specific products and services through the power of recommendation engines. That's just a simple example, but it's happening very quickly.
William, just to show you how cutting edge your book is, and I'm sure you know it, but it certainly impressed me. You mentioned in the book how much information Facebook has about us, from our political likes to our baseball team kind of shoes we like, watches we might use, retailers we might frequent. And just this morning, I was reading the paper. I still read newspapers, and they said Facebook was going to be cutting back on some of those, but kind of the real reason was that they don't want the government to make laws against them accumulating all this information. So they're going to be a bit more restrictive and, I guess, get out, what do they call it, getting ahead of the parade and stopping the government from restricting them from what they can use, etc. And you actually mentioned a story in your book, which, if you can tell our audience about it, how Target actually knew that a teen was pregnant before her parents knew it.
Yeah, so this is a famous story that happened a couple of years ago. Target was exploring how they could, in fact, predict when a woman was pregnant from data. This is very important to marketers because women tend to make very long-term decisions while they're pregnant. They use new brands and products, and then they stick with those brands for 20, 30 years. And so the brands that you trust when you're pregnant become very, loyal, lifetime, product purchases for many American women. And so the challenge for a retailer is, how do I know when a woman is pregnant so that I can actually influence her at that stage? They sat down and they remarkably did a very good job of figuring it out, to the point that they sent out a mailer to a young woman who was 16 years old, and it was, basically a mailer about pregnancy. Her father received it and was incensed that Target would be focusing, marketing literature about pregnancy on his 16-year-old daughter. And of course, he, attacked the company for, their insensitivity. Well, little did he know that his daughter was actually pregnant. And the moral of that story, if there is one, was that, Target, in the mind of that father, had crossed the creepy line. They were, knowing something about his daughter that he didn't know himself. And Target took that to heart. They said, all right, this is a problem. We have to be more clandestine about, our marketing efforts. We have to obfuscate our methods. We have to actually mix in, grills and golf clubs and other non-pregnancy related products into the catalog when we're sending somebody, information about pregnancy, because we don't want them to feel like we're snooping, that we know too much about them. And so Target started obfuscating, started hiding their marketing tactics by mixing it up with all of these other products. And I said in the book that is really the origin of this invisible brand. Here is Target delivering information to pregnant women, but they're hiding the tactics. They're making it invisible. They're using, subterfuge at some level. They're hiding behind this curtain of, other material that they're delivering to you in a marketing language, so that you don't see the mechanics of their marketing tactics at work on you. So
not only are they smart, but they're tricky smart. Right? I mean, that's what I'm hearing. And I was just thinking while you were saying that, let's say I'm over 25 and I'm looking on dating websites. Well, if I'm an active divorce lawyer in the area, or having something to do with divorce, whatever other services might be available, maybe that's a target, the person who's looking at websites at an age when they're probably married or just got a divorce, so maybe they need the services of a lawyer. Or if I'm looking at new locations around the country on a frequent basis and maybe talking to realtors, maybe that's an indication I'm going to move. And those companies who rent out the trucks and provide you with the moving boxes and services. I would think there'd be a lot of opportunities for all those companies, and they're probably doing it, and you're probably laughing, saying Bill doesn't even know that they're doing this now. And You know it, but I don't. I guess that's an opportunity out there for everyone.
Well, and to emphasize what you're saying, corporations today are leveraging trend number 3 that I mentioned. There are 4 trends. The third trend is machine learning is now harvesting information from data. So what we're doing is we're turning over vast mountains of data to a machine learning algorithm to sift through it and look for patterns. So you just named a couple patterns. Maybe divorce lawyers are interested in dating sites. Maybe, companies that, have moving infrastructure are interested in, real estate sites. So that may seem obvious at ground level, but the way they can actually introduce information into digital media is leveraging optimization of digital media campaigns. And what that means is using artificial intelligence, we are now learning how to persuade you using your personalized information. Your likes and interests are being used to persuade you, and the machine is learning what motivates you, what motivates Bill, what motivates, Joe and Sue and Frank and Bob. All of the people around us are being shaped by artificial intelligence. And quickly, the fourth trend, of course, is that we're now talking to our devices. So now you're having a conversation with a machine that learns how to persuade you using your personalized information and how to deliver a conversation in a way that changes the way you think. Today, again, we're just having those conversations about, where should I go eat dinner and recommend a scary movie. But tomorrow, we're going to be asking much more in-depth questions. We're going to be asking our computers, recommend what kind of car should I buy? What should I study in college? What job is right for me? Who should I date and who should I marry? And at the point where we're having those kinds of conversations with an artificially intelligent agent, we're going to be opening ourselves up to a level of persuasion that is unlike anything we've experienced previously.
William, you've really scared us in the first part of the show. So I guess the horror theater analogy was good at the beginning of the show. At this point in the broadcast, I want to remind our listeners that you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan, asking you to please stay with us as we take a brief break, and we'll be right back to learn more about invisible marketing techniques.
90.3 WHPC reminds you that any time is a great time to get a memory screening. Memory screenings are a quick, easy, non-invasive way to give your brain a checkup and an important part of overall health and wellness. The Alzheimer's Foundation of America's National Memory Screening Program can help you find a screening site near you. Plus, the Alzheimer's Foundation of America's toll-free helpline, staffed by licensed social workers, can provide support services for individuals living with Alzheimer's disease and their caregivers. If you or someone you know needs help caring for a loved one with Alzheimer's disease, or to find out about the memory screening program, please call 866-232-8484 or visit www.alzfdn.org. This message brought to you by the Alzheimer's Foundation of America and the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan, and today our guest is William Ammerman, the author of The Invisible Brand. William, I think we should have made this a 2-hour show, but in your book you have a lot of new terms, and among them are behavioral targeting, time-based targeting, and geo-targeting. What are those things, and should we be afraid, or are they friendly?
So all of those things are part of what I've been describing as the ability to personalize information. Of course, you're carrying a phone around with you, and if you've got Bluetooth activated on your phone, every time you walk into a shopping mall, into an airport, into an arena, a concert venue, the Bluetooth beacons in that venue can see your phone moving around in that environment. They can triangulate your user ID, your phone's ID, and they can figure out where it moves and what it does in that location. Well, I like to say that your phone is a window to your soul. We used to say the eyes were the window to the soul. Your cell phone is now the window to your soul. I don't need to know your name. I don't even need to know anything about you if I know your phone. If I can build a relationship with your phone and watch where it goes and what it does, that tells me a lot about who you are. It tells me maybe you spend time on a golf course. Maybe you go to airports frequently. Maybe you're a business traveler. I can discern a lot about your lifestyle, a lot about the things that you might be considering doing, and I can look for patterns in that data to discern what are you like and who is like you and what do those people do, and I can start to bend your behavior towards outcomes that are favorable to my marketing strategies. So that's an example of geo-targeting, but it's also an example of behaviorally targeting. We're looking at what you do and where you go to figure out who you are. And so, like I said, your phone is becoming your, kind of a window into, who you are and possibly what you're going to do next. And machine learning is giving us the ability to make better predictions about what you're going to do, but also machine learning is prescriptive rather than just predictive. It can help us change what you're going to do. And that's really where psychotechnology interfaces with the individual at its most important level, is the ability to change what you're going to do, what you're going to buy, how you think, and what you do in the world.
I love new terms, and that word psychotechnology. I have a feeling right after Dr. Phil next year, we're going to see Dr. Bill, and that'll be you. And you're telling us what to watch for and some of the tricks of invisible branding and what's going on around us. Can a small business get in on this? How about a local accountant? And I'm talking about, maybe 5 accountants, 9 lawyers in an office, 2 or 3 dentists. Can they benefit from this type of marketing?
It's immediate, and it's right now. You have to get involved, and here's why. Because, think 20 years ago, search engine optimization was a new term. People were just starting to use Google as a search engine. Today, voice is the new search engine. We're using voice increasingly to shop for things. If you're a small business owner, ask yourself this right now. Can people buy my products and services using voice? Can they find me? Can they find my restaurant? Can they shop for my products? Can they buy me using voice? If they can't, you're missing out on an opportunity, and you're going to have to make the same decision the businesses had to make 20 years ago. Do I invest the time and energy to figure out search engine optimization? And the answer is, if you did 20 years ago, you did very well. And if you didn't, you're probably not in that business anymore. And I would say the same thing is true of voice. I'll give you one other quick example. For business owners, they need to be thinking about what it is that we do when we're, using targeting and marketing in terms of artificial intelligence. Your cash register data is the secret to your success. But right now, too many small businesses use a little Excel spreadsheet to try to figure out who their customers are. If you're running a little pet store, you have customers that come in and they buy dog food. You have a different group of customers that board their pets with you when they go out of town. You have a different group of customers that groom their pets. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to figure out which group was which? Well, artificial intelligence can sift the cash register data, sort people into groups, and then help you deliver targeted advertising messages to those people who are most likely to buy a product or service that they're not currently buying. If you know that somebody shops or is boarding their pet with you, but they never groom their pet, you might say, hey, next time you drop your pet off or boarding, let us know, and we'll give the dog a shampoo and trim the nails, and when you come back, your Fido will smell great and look great. That kind of messaging is available today for small business owners if they know how to start leveraging the data that's already available in their cash register.
William, once again, we want our audience to know that if you're just tuning in, you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. Our guest today is William Ammerman, and if you're wondering about all these interesting things, well, you can find out more of them in his book, The Invisible Brand. And if you, we will ask Bill if he'll tell us, please, is there a website where we can find out more information, and where is the Invisible Brand book available?
Sure. Go to my website. It's my first initial last name, so W for William, Ammerman, AMMERMAN.com, Wammerman.com. And you can also find the book, The Invisible Brand, online at Amazon. It's available on Audible if you prefer to listen to it, and you can buy it at Barnes & Noble. Those are a couple great sources.
And just a reminder to our audience, if you didn't hear the whole show or if you want a friend to listen to this and be aware of what's going on, you can hear a podcast of the show by going to nccradio.org. Simply go to podcasts and the Secrets of Success and then look for The Invisible Brand with our guest, William Ammerman. Some very interesting things, and if you're going to be living in the future, which we all hope to be living in the future, you want to know about these things because the retailers are doing them to you, the people on the internet are doing them to you, so at least know what's happening around you. William, I found it fascinating, something called native advertising. What is that?
We are increasingly placing ads in the context of news. It looks like news, and people may have seen these boxes that appear on websites. So you scroll down on your local CBS news station website, and at the bottom of the page there are these boxes, and it's 7 weird tricks to polish your silverware or whatever it is. Well, those 7 weird tips look like maybe a news story, but when you click on it, it actually turns out to be an ad. We are increasingly embedding advertising into the news content that we're reading. It's the old product placement in the movies, but it's now advertising more directly inserted into our news, and that may feel insidious and sneaky. And the truth is, we are blurring the lines between church and state. It used to be that the editorial department and the advertising department, didn't play nicely together. They, and neither the twain shall meet. But today, increasingly, publishers are willing to start blending advertising-related content, advertorial content, into their news so that it becomes indistinguishable. And the phrase native is a reference to the fact that the ads look like native news content. It's formatted the same way as a news story.
So where we would trust the news broadcast or the news story as news and neutral, this could really be an ad that's trying to push us to buy a certain car if that's the statistics, or use a certain doctor, or maybe not vote with a certain political party.
It's absolutely happening, and as people get more innovative with their tactics, it becomes harder and harder for consumers to discern. Is this news? Is this propaganda? Is this advertising? Is this marketing? What am I being exposed to? What is this information? And I want people to start to be discerning about it. Tim Berners-Lee, who is the father of the World Wide Web, said something fascinating.
I'm sorry, I'm just going to have to cut you short. This has been so much fun that we're running out of time, but I want our audience to know, if you like what you're hearing, our guest is William Ammerman, Ammerman. The book is The Invisible Brand. Find out more by reading his book. I'd like to let you know that you've been listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan. I thank you for being with us and ask you to please join us again next week at the same time when we will continue our journey to success.